Hey everyone, welcome to the Promethean Tides podcast. I am General, and this is Breaker. Hey Breaker.
This week's episode brought to you by NordVPN. You ever want to watch porn at work and not get caught by your boss? Well, NordVPN has your back.
Just to avoid any potential lawsuits, we are not actually sponsored by NordVPN. That is a joke, but I bet that you could use it for those purposes if you were so inclined. We are also joined by Sticky. How's it going, Sticky?
Pretty good. Just hanging out with you guys, trying to see what this debate's about.
Oh yeah. So we're just doing a midweek show, just to talk about what's happened since the weekend. Kind of more of a casual, more relaxed one than the usual show, but it's fun. So that's the
Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Sticky. We can just, I guess, get into the first topic. So it looks as though the Supreme Court is probably going to end up doing away with Roe v. Wade, probably send it back to the states so that it's no longer a federal issue. It is up to the states to determine. Of course, from the perspective of much of the left, this is absolute fascism, because I guess everyone's lives should be dictated by the federal government as opposed to more localized governments. So there you have it. But the left is they're kind of freaking out over this one. How about Sticky? What do you think about all this?
Well, because I'm Canadian, I probably don't know too much about this subject. I actually haven't heard anything about it, to be honest with you. So this is the first time I've actually encountered anybody with this subject.
Wow. What are the laws on abortion up in Canada?
We're actually allowed to up to, I think it's 3 months. Like, you can do it up to 3 months after you've been pregnant. 3 trimesters, is it? Up to the 3rd trimester, I think. That's what my cousin just said beside me.
Up to a month. So a trimester is basically 3 months. So is it 3 months or 3 trimesters?
Yeah, it's 3 trimesters, 3 months, yeah.
You mean 9 months?
No, not 9 months.
3 months.
So one trimester.
Yeah,
one
3
trimester.
months. Yes.
Okay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I think that's where most people end up standing on the issue. That they'll allow it, but they don't want it past the first trimester.
You know what? I heard an interesting opinion from a pro-life advocate on the Aaron McIntyre's podcast, if anyone wants to check that out. And his argument was basically, number one, like, the first thing in the Constitution is the right to life. And to supplement that, in American courts, there is like decades of precedence that on DNA evidence, basically it is acceptable in court to present DNA evidence as a signifier of this person's identity. So there's legal precedent that your DNA, just freaking literal cells, are it's such an integral part of your identity that they can be used against you in court as evidence.
Well, there's also a lot of legal precedent that you can get charged for double homicide if you kill a pregnant mother.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
But according to, I guess, the overall philosophical rules of the far left, that's insane. There's no way that you should be charged double homicide by killing a 9-month pregnant mother, because it's just a clump of cells until it exits the vagina, I guess. Yes.
That's a good point, too.
No, the left has a complete double standard on that. They would say, out of one side of their mouth, they would agree that it is double homicide. But out of the other, they would call it like femicide, actually, because, believe it or not.
Right, yeah, femicide is actually twice as bad as maleocide.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Androcide.
femicide or malicide is.
It's killing of a man or a woman.
Well, homicide would be killing like any Homo sapient. Femicide would specifically be for women. I think androcide would be specific killing of a man if we really want to partition it.
Right, yeah, it would
Okay,
be.
I
It would be
understand.
androcide, yeah.
Well, technically, it's all overlapping in a Venn diagram anyway. Like, okay, anytime you have all these weird partitions of laws, the more laws that a state has, the more corrupt it is.
At the same time, but it also allows people to have freedoms. Some laws create freedoms.
Okay. Like how you are not allowed to murder. So that protects your, I guess, right to life and to not be murdered.
Right.
Although it doesn't stop you from being murdered, it just means that there are repercussions to the person that murders you.
Right, so you're less likely to be murdered.
Yeah. That's something that I can agree with. I'm not full AnCap. I think there is a place for laws such as no theft, no murder.
I am I do believe in both ANCAP and like minimum laws and libertarian with actually having state, but I understand how it could be with complete no state and also how it could be with minimum state. If that makes sense.
Yeah, the pure AnCap argument is kind of an interesting one. Because I guess in theory, it's actually not lawlessness. It's that you can have basically the same thing as a government, except instead of having to pay taxes as a citizen to that government, you can actually just become a subscriber who pays like a monthly subscription service to something that is effectively a government, and then within those boundaries you can have all the laws that seem to make civilization work.
The one place where that breaks down is on like military defense and maintenance of borders, because the military can't be like looking around with binoculars like, hey, they haven't paid their military subscription, so we're just going to let the enemy invade that little chunk of land over there because the people that own that land didn't pay the subscription to the military. You see how this is a problem?
Well, no, that's how you get a cyberpunk.
There's ways to argue this.
That's how you get cyberpunk style corporate warfare. It's super cool. I played that
So
game.
there's the way that he was describing it, and then there's like full ANCAP is like being completely with no state, and if like they want to like agree to some kind of subscription, there's nobody higher or lower than each other. Everybody's equal, okay? And so if you don't make your contributes to this, then you don't get those benefits maybe, or like you were saying, maybe not, because either way, nobody's going to want those people to invade on them. So let's say if Canada became ANCAP, they wouldn't want them to invade. So if you didn't pay your subscription or not, that wouldn't matter because they wouldn't want invasions, right? So there would have to be some kind of system that works together, that they would realize that you have to put in your work or you're not part of this and you can get the fuck out. But then that also again defies what ANCAP stands for, because ANCAP stands for there is no laws really. The only thing is that you're allowed to run your business with a capitalistic society. Right? You're allowed to have workers, and the workers are allowed to do what they want, and then you could use the product, and you could give them a wage from what you would receive from your product. Profit, right?
Well, that sounds like a wet worker's freaking wet dream to me, because if you allow immigration, basically all any foreign power would have to do is like, yeah, we're going to buy up all the land around these conveniently strategic areas, and we're not going to pay the subscription for the military protection. It's like, oh no, a military invasion. I am not enjoying this. Here come the tanks. But it turns out that they're actually agents of the foreign power.
That's how it would be. Like if there's if somebody rolled up to your doorstep with like the Waco siege kind of thing, if a tank rolled up to your doorstep, you'd have to have the manpower of the defenses to be able to defend your shit.
Well, in my scenario, the people that own this land are actually agents of the people rolling up in the tank, so they're just going to be like, hey, Bob, how's it going? I guess we're taking over.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well it is that that pure anarcho-capitalism actually works, because you end up with a series of governments anyway. So within anarcho-capitalism, it's no government, but you are allowed to have large hierarchies. You can have a corporation. You can have a multinational corporation run by a board and a CEO that can, within their own company, be extremely authoritarian. They have the capacity to, tell their workers to do whatever they want, as a company, ought to be able to.
You are correct, yeah.
Of course, the workers do have an ability to leave the company. They're not forced there.
Yep.
They're not slaves, but at the same time, internally, a corporation can be basically just like any government. And so the idea, I guess, under pure anarcho-capitalism is that basically corporations become governments, and they compete for subscription memberships from people. So it's like the subscription memberships, like paying taxes, and I guess that's kind of how it would function. The one kind of thing there is that how does that not just become a government? Because obviously the corporation is going to have territory. Obviously it's going to have some sort of a visa system when going between one corporation's territory and another corporation's territory, because there are dangers from the mercenaries of a foreign corporation. I mean, effectively, I believe that on a long enough timeline, this just ends up being another form of good old statism, but with a different name. I know that there's probably some AnCaps out there that will fucking hate me for that position, but that's kind of what it seems like to me.
I don't feel that it would go into that extent, because again, when we're all living in this kind of life form, I wouldn't even say it's a society, because when you bring it back to saying it's a society, then again, it's state, right? And I'm saying that it's a life form. So if we were living that style of life, then no, we wouldn't. Like, I don't think that the businesses, yes, they could have those laws on their own business, but that other business doesn't have to comply with those other laws. They're going to have their own sets and boundaries. So yes, you would see one being really authoritarian next to the other one maybe not being as such authoritarian. And the thing that when you pointed out is when you were like, they would be able to freely leave. Yes, that's where we are not as free to be able to leave what we have for us right now, because we're kind of bound in by our citizenship and all that other good stuff, that you can't just go to another country and be like, yeah, I'm just going to become a citizen. There's all this paperwork and all this BS that takes a substantial amount of time, and you can be denied. It's no different than you being like, I want to move to grandma's house because grandma has it better there, and your mom asks grandma to be like, you mind if Billy comes and lives with you for a bit? And grandma's like, well, let me see. Do I have the finances to be able to support Billy? I guess, yeah, why not? And then they sign over, like, pretty well the ownership of Billy over to grandma, which is like all of his ID and stuff like that. And now grandma owns Billy.
So let's take this hypothesis. Let's say that there's the nation of Microsoft, and then there's the nation of Apple.
Okay.
Now, let's say that I was a citizen of the nation of Microsoft for the past 30 years. And then I decide, you know what? Fuck Microsoft. I didn't like the Windows 2028 that they implemented, so I wanna move over to Apple Nation. Well, actually, Apple Nation can deny me the access to citizenship, because like they can do whatever the hell they want. If they have a particular grudge against Microsoft, then they can just say, you know what? No, Microsoft civilians or citizens are not allowed to become citizens of the Apple Nation. They could totally do that, just like how nation states can do that right now.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're getting at, but that would be for work, right? So that's your job.
No. We're
necessarily be a nation.
No. We're talking about citizenship, because that's how you effectively do. That's how you implement Anarcho-Capistan. It's where you basically have a series of quote unquote governments, but they're run by the corporations as opposed to a state.
again, the only reason why somebody would join something like that is to work, right? That's the only reason why I would be joining Apple, to be a part of their work, so that way I could earn money or I could earn product.
Or
yeah,
or maybe
because I'm trying to buy myself food in this capitalism, right?
or alternatively, you're joining the Apple Nation because you want a guarantee of human rights and security, because that's something that people will be searching for. That's why you would become a citizen of one of these
They could have benefits when they're working, I get that, but no. They would be living in the life that they're living, not in the society, because they wanted to be free. That was the whole objective of AnCap, right? So it's to be free, but still have like businesses so they can still get stuff done. So for example, let's say like the roads, you wouldn't be able to go driving on the roads unless you paid to drive on the roads, kind of like tolls. And there would be like their own system to actually enforce the system of driving on the roads, kind of like how it is now.
Right, but as a member,
Personally, I don't feel that life would be any different other than little things where you would have to defend yourself a little bit more. I understand where you're coming from with some of these points, but we would have to see, like, yeah, that'd be like a little group forming in there, and then all the other people would have to work together to actually demolish that, to make sure that there's still the freedom within the life that they're living within those bounds in the territory.
Within an Anarchocapitalism, I can create a gang, can I not?
Well, technically, you can do whatever you wanted.
Goddamn right. So, if I have the capacity to create a gang, which I might be inclined to do, then other people probably need to have security.
Yes.
So, in theory, right, everyone could try to hire a bodyguard, but that's going to end up being prohibitively expensive. And you can try to defend your territory by yourself by having a rocket launcher, but let's say that the gang just also has more people than you and they have their own rocket launchers. In that case, it is for your benefit to sign up to some sort of a security company that will defend your household if it comes under attack. Some sort of a pseudo-police type structure, right? That would make sense.
There could be stuff like that again, yes, but people are not forced into having to deal with this or not. But it's just no different if like we had police today that were just the police that you actually had to like pay a tax almost, or pay some kind of form of being like, yes, like what you're talking about, like in some sort of protection, but you'd have to contribute some way if they were splurging for that. But they could also have their, like, there would be a whole bunch of this, but there would be obviously a force going through of people making sure that there wasn't people trying to just take it over and create a whole state within again. You know what I mean?
Well, who would be the force of people going through to do that? Would they just be
all the people? It would be having to be like, yeah, there would have to be like people that volunteer to be able to do this. If nobody volunteers, then yeah, the land could end up going back to the way it was.
Well, what if I say fuck you to the volunteers and I shoot them because they stepped on
You definitely can.
All right, cool. So the other thing that seems to be necessary in order to have a functional civilization in Anarchocapitalism is the enforcement of contracts. Who is the arbitrator that enforces contracts? Obviously, this would be another entity that people can more or less trust to be fair and neutral, right?
Sorry, my cousin was saying something in the background. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, the in order to enforce contracts, which are going to be very, very important in Anarcho-Capitalism, you would have to have some sort of judicial entity that can be an arbitrator of contracts and violation of contracts. So some sort of unbiased organization that exists within the market would also have to fulfill this role, correct?
Again, it would be up to the volunteers of the people to actually enforce whatever they wanted to try to, like, again, it would be the only thing that they're worried about. Essentially, the only thing is a state taking over the whole territory, right? A government force. All right, now, when we're dealing with this, there's a reason why certain countries also don't like invading other countries, is because it's very hard, because you have to like deal with all of these. Like to attack yourself would be very hard, because you wouldn't know who to essentially attack, because they could be like, you get what I mean? They're like, you don't know which person's actually the victim and which person's actually the aggressor, the terrorist, especially when it's homebred or it's in a city.
Well, it may not matter who is the victim and who is the...
In that society or that life form in territory, no, it wouldn't.
Right, so what I'm saying is that in order to make a stable and functional civilization within Anarchocapitalism that wasn't just being continuously run by warlords, you would have to have corporations that specialized in defense and security, corporations that specialized in, let's say, the enforcement of contract law, and perhaps, some...
Yes, but that would be a private police force or a private security force that people would have to, like, pay for, you know what I mean?
Right, so what I'm saying is that, let's say that I have, let's say, a corporation, really cool guys. That's the name of my corporation. It's RCG, really cool guys.
Yeah.
And my corporation, RCG, not only do we guarantee you security, but we will also negotiate and arbitrate all of the contracts that come through. So basically, it's a 2-for-1, all-in-one kind of one-stop shop. And in order to get our services, all you have to do is pay a subscription premium. Maybe it's I don't know, let's say $1,000 a month, and you can then guarantee your security and the enforcement of contracts. And if you're wealthier, maybe we will offer extra services, maybe for like $2,000 a month. We'll do some extra shit for like $5,000 a month. We'll help you fucking squirrel away your cash or whatever. Lots of options. You would have like the silver, the gold, and the platinum plan. Who knows? But I could construct something like that. In fact, you could imagine that something like that might come to exist, right?
Yes.
Cool. So, in that case, that is the beginning of basically a new state within Anarchocapitalism. Now, it's not exactly like a traditional state, but this could be a thing that, well, they might have land, and they might have subscribers, which are actually just citizens, but we'll call them subscribers. And they have the enforcement of, let's say, certain laws. Like they could come out and all the shareholders, all the subscribers, they can vote. Okay, do we want pot to be legal within our territory? And maybe all the shareholders go no, or maybe they go yeah, and that's a new law. So it seems to me as though that is a way that basically something that is a state, but without it being called
technically,
a state.
If there's no laws put in place, like actual identifying laws, and there's only somebody actually just coming in and being like, hey, this person's attacking me, I just need help from attack, not actually a law, they're just asking for help. That's not a governing force. There's no laws put in bounds.
Right, but maybe...
it's still a corporation, you know what I mean?
Well,
okay, if everything is contingent on voluntarism and these types of contract agencies like the Really Cool Guys Corporation, that's basically a critarchy. Unless you want to do just pure word of mouth contracts and it's not actually backed up with any type of enforcing body like Really Cool Guys Corporation, people could still technically be free to do that, but the other person could just renege on it any time and there's nothing to stop them.
He's correct.
Well, then, in that case...
Because as long as there's no governing force of people and there's no laws actually put in bound on like a territory, and then they're controlling everybody, no, there's no state.
Right, but without the influence of, say, an RCG-type corporation, I think that it will stop being just an an anarcho-capistan, and it'll just become an anarchy, and it will fall apart, and you'll just have warlords. And, you know, even the most full-blown anarcho-capitalist doesn't want to descend into just fucking Mad Max-style warlordism, right? Like, that's something everyone wants to avoid.
We don't really know how any of this actually would partake, because we don't live in anything like that, so it's kind of hard to imagine.
I mean, so is communism, but I reject it anyway.
Yeah, I understand. None of us have lived in anything like this in the modern day.
I mean, maybe, fucking A, maybe if we just tried it for the 58th time, and it actually works, maybe communism would be really chill.
Yeah, no, I'm not the greatest with communism. I know. I just find that there's loopholes in that system too, personally. I'm just more of an individualist. I do believe that there should be, like... I obviously live in state, and I do believe that there's reasons for state, but I could see how AnCap society would be able to work too.
I just wanted to interject one thing. Technically, there are like tiny little communist enclaves dotted around the world that technically do work. They're just matriarchal tribes.
Oh, yeah, I mean, well, you know, technically, most families are kind of more or less communist, because, like, you know, as a father, you might spend tens of thousands of dollars on your kids and raising them to be adults, and you actually never get that money back. And it's just, you know, it's not based off of the capitalistic endeavor, because from a purely economic perspective, children are not always the best investment unless you live in China and your retirement is dependent on your eldest son. But my perspective is that I think that the full blown anarcho-capitalism is, I think it's a little bit too extreme. I think that there are some holes in it. I think it's definitely smarter than communism, but I think that there are still issues with it. Personally speaking, I'm more of a minarchist libertarian. I think that there are certain roles that it makes sense that a constitutional republic fulfills. Amongst those are the police, the firefighters, and the military, and also protecting our borders. Like that's what I envision as being like just a middle of the road libertarian perspective.
Well, technically, most fire departments are volunteer, so.
But also funded by the state.
Well, yeah, somebody's got to pay for that really expensive truck.
I agree.
And also license and enable the operation of that truck as well. The way it's set up now is usually some type of state apparatus and licensure board that is state controlled. It says you have an emergency vehicle operator's capacity, and you're not going to slam this motherfucking 100,000-pound fire truck into a tree.
I think it was back in the the Roman times or the Greek times or something that the firefighters would come in. Let's say that your house was on fire. So the firefighters, they would go, how much is your house worth? And the homeowner would go, please, it doesn't matter. Can you please put the fire out? And the firefighters would go, well, no, come on. How much is your house worth? And the guy would go like, it's worth 10,000 coins. And the firefighter would go, all right, we'll put it out for 8,000 coins. And the guy goes, I don't have 8,000 coins. And the firefighter goes, all right, tell you what, you sell us your home, give us, and we'll give you 2,000 coins, and then we'll put the fire out, and then we'll use your home. And the guy goes, well, but I don't want to sell my house for 2,000 coins. And the firefighter goes, well, it's either that or you have a flaming pile of rubble. And the guy goes, fuck, I guess I have to accept 2,000 coins for my house that is otherwise worth 10,000 coins. And that was the fire brigade. I think that in general, I kind of want to avoid that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, no, I can see your worry on that for sure. That's definitely a flaw right there.
Well, anyway, there's
Yay, anarchism.
yeah, there's a discussion about uh, more moderate libertarianism versus anarcho-capitalism. Thank you for engaging that discussion with me, Sticky. We can move on to actually, or we can get back to the Roe v. Wade thing, I guess. Breaker, what is your position? Do you believe that abortion should be a states' rights, or do you think it should be covered by the federal government?
States.
And Sticky, I know that you guys don't really have states or freedom in Canada, but what do you hypothesize?
We have provinces, yeah, but they already have our laws set and bound, and they've been like that for before I was born. I don't think our laws have changed in for forever.
So let me put forward this argument. I think that this, as well as lots of other laws that are currently dictated by the federal government, they should be dictated by the states. And I say this because basically human beings, they don't know the best way to run a civilization. People can try to figure out on paper like how the best way to run a civilization might be, but until you actually put it into practice and the rubber meets the road, you don't know for certain. So it seems like instead of just having the federal government do whatever it wants to do, either failing or succeeding based off of the policies that it has, maybe a more beautiful strategy is to allow states the ability to have all of their own unique laws. And in that case, each state is kind of doing its own experiment in terms of governing a civilization or governing, I guess, an aspect of a society. And by doing that, you're basically running, at least in the case of America, 50 different experiments at once. And the experiments that work, maybe they'll be adopted by other states. The experiments that fail probably won't be adopted by other states. So that seems to be a really good way to just refine and progress the way that you govern a civilization. Whereas if you put it all in the seat of the federal government, then, I mean, you have all your eggs in one basket, and that seems a little bit not that efficient, especially since you're not really running a search algorithm at that point. So I think that most things should be dictated by the states. Now, I believe in Canada, you guys don't really have as much of an idea of, I guess, provincial rights, do you?
Well, yeah, there's like different provincial laws, but mostly they're all equal between the different provinces. What I find though is between here in Ontario is more of an authoritarian province. Out in BC is more libertarian, and there's less laws. To be honest with you,
And how would you describe Quebec?
again, more authoritarian than even Ontario.
Yeah, leave it up to the French to be authoritarian.
Oh yeah, it's really bad there, actually. To be honest with you.
You will speak French and you will drink wine and eat cheese, or we will shove you into the sea.
No, they're one of the most that protest. To be honest with you, when the rest of Canadians are pretty chill and chillax, the Quebecers are
Again,
tend to
sounds like my
protest the most.
French to protest and complain about everything all the fucking time. That sounds perfectly French.
Yeah, but they have reasons to. That again, because it's so authoritarian. That's why they're protesting, because they don't like it.
Why? Okay, I wondered, because I heard like in France where Macron is kind of getting like stomped on because all the people are getting voted out. He doesn't have any power anymore.
Quebec had a law passed through where they were allowed to fine people that didn't get vaccinated. fine people that didn't get vaccinated.
Yeah, but here's the thing I don't understand. The French citizenry seems to really fucking hate the government, both in Quebec and in France. It seems everywhere there are French people, there's people complaining about the government, but they're democracies. Do you see the problem?
I see the problem that they almost like actually passed a law to fine people for not taking a vaccination. That's terrible.
Yeah, but they voted in the parties and the politicians that had that power, but then they complain about it. Either they're really fucking stupid or they're just penultimate masochists.
Well, I actually don't know this off the top of my head, but I would assume that that France and Quebec, they're constitutional democracies, or are they constitutional republics? I'm not sure what they are.
Well, France.
Well,
is a
France is
republic.
its own country.
Yeah.
Well, right, but I mean, is France a constitutional democracy or a constitutional republic? I would assume it's a republic.
It's a republic.
Right.
Yes, it's a republic.
And Quebec itself, when you look at the organization of the government on the provincial level, I would assume that is also more or less a smaller, self-contained republic, right?
I'm pretty positive Quebec's liberal, but I'd have to look up into.
Oh, of course,
I'm
it's
pretty
liberal.
sure,
Yeah, it's run by the French. Of course, it's liberal, but
yeah, but it actually their governing party right now might be liberal, like their MP.
Right.
I don't know. Suffice it to say they both have like a democratic process where the people get to vote for parties and politicians or however exactly it works. Keep stepping on them and they start complaining really loudly.
You know what I think is really dumb? It's this European style of having this multi-party system where you have to do a coalition in order to basically like set up a government. I think that's stupid. I would use firmer words usually, but this is going on YouTube, so I'm just going to call it dumb. Honestly, I think that there's a lot of people that complain about the first past the post election system here in America, but I think it is actually superior to, let's say, the ranked choice voting system. I don't believe that the existence of third parties genuinely getting elected actually serves the interest of the people or the nation. Like, it sounds good on paper, but it's one of those things that is actually just dumb. So, for instance, here in America, because we have a first past the post system, you either vote for one person or another. You have one vote. That means that the most stable state of the system is to have a two-party system. I think that what's that one YouTuber guy's name? CGP Grey or something? He posted a video. This was years ago. But the point is that the stable state for first past the post system is a two-party system. Now, there's actually major benefits to a two-party system. So, for instance, let's say that there is here in America a libertarian party. Let's say that they are the third largest party that exists, and let's say that they might start threatening some aspects of the Republican Party. In that case, that forces the Republican Party to move more and more libertarian, which is probably a good thing. Now, let's say that instead we had a ranked choice voting, like Europe sometimes does, and you basically have it so that these different parties have to find coalitions in order to achieve rulership or whatever have you. In that case, the libertarians just keep voting libertarian, and the conservatives keep voting conservative, and there's not as much blending of ideas in order to create I guess a more perfect union or whatever. So yeah, I actually, you know what? Despite the criticism, I think that first past the post voting systems are fucking dope. I think America does it well.
Yay, voting.
Right, so something that you don't care about, Breaker. That's right.
Yeah,
I think the voting's alright. Like their voting system is decent. I just find that doesn't their voting work also by seats? So even if, like, let's say they got voted in by the people, doesn't it matter upon how many seats they have in the actual like political parties?
Oh, you're talking about like a congressional and senatorial seats?
Yeah, like in the government system, doesn't people's position matter of like who they're voting for more than the people?
Uh, I think that for the most part, uh, the the elected people will tend to vote for their party, and the people that are part of the party will tend to vote for that guy that is part of the party. Like it does tend to just fall upon Republican versus Democrat lines across the board. Although there was a Democrat, I think he might have been from West Virginia. I forget the name of him, but he when the Democrats were voting to impeach Trump, this particular Democrat said, "No, I'm not voting to impeach Trump," and then he actually switched parties, and I think he just won his primary. So yeah, good for that guy.
Yeah, I guess
yay.
he had a good plan and it worked.
Well, as we've talked about before, these days the only thing I care about is voting for the funniest candidate. So I'm literally just in it for the memes. I actually don't give a fuck anymore. The whole shit mountain with the turd dingleberry cherry on top can burn for all I give a fuck. I'm voting for Vermin Supreme for president and Puking Dog for Senate. Fuck it.
Well, what about Amy Schumer? She's hilarious.
You know what? I would probably write in Amy Schumer. That's like a meta joke because she's so unfunny. And I myself say that I vote for the funniest candidate. It's just like, yeah, this is the funniest candidate I could find. And just like the government, the joke's always on me and every other citizen of said government. So it just works. It just works, guys. It just works.
Yeah, imagine actually voting for Amy Schumer. Like, there's so many other comedians that are funnier, and you're just like, yeah, nah, Amy Schumer, Amy Schumer, she's the funniest. She's just the best.
Imagine
would
voting
vote
for
for
Justin Trudeau.
Oh God. Well, apparently, I mean, Canadians' frickin' election regulations and scrutineers and shit are like a lot better than America, from what I hear. So we actually know that the sentiment of the Canadians is legitimately wanting Trudeau. So,
Yeah, Trudeau called for a quick election and he got it. Like it was during COVID. Actually, it wasn't supposed to happen.
I think you
Yeah,
mean the
he won a
bastard
majority,
child of Fidel Castro.
but he still got a minority.
Well, there you go. You see,
I don't
the
think he's
secret
gonna
is
win this time.
well, the secret is the blackface. It imbues you with the power to rule.
Yeah,
That's why blackface is forbidden in America, because it's a hot shoot of tyranny.
I was gonna say that actually Justin Trudeau is the ultimate minority because he can be any minority if you give him the right face paint.
Exactly.
Oh, got
Just
him.
crack out the shoe polish.
He calls everybody else racist and bigots and whatnot, but he's the biggest.
Just don't forget, if you're ever talking to him, to call it people kind and not mankind.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So many gems.
Remember to
Actually,
speak moist to him.
I think at this point, the acceptable pronoun for humanity is just they kind.
Uh-oh. No, it's
Well,
I
you
kind.
know, with furries and
Or me kind.
Don't forget about that one guy that works for Google that identifies as a dragon and a 16th century ornate golden cathedral simultaneously. Some days he's a dragon, some days he's a Gothic cathedral, and you have to respect those pronouns. So, motherfucker ain't even human most of the time. He's only human, like, rarely. So,
There was I saw this video. It was a training video for the Navy, and when we think about the U.S. military, we think about how important pronouns are, because that's integral to their mission, as we all know. So the U.S. Navy put out this training video, and they were talking about how to refer to your fellow Navy personnel with their proper gender pronouns, and it was this little training video, and it was just it was great. It was fucking great. You know what? I learned a lot. There are some easy ways to remember your fellow Navy men's pronouns, and you have to respect them, and it's just very, very important. And goddamn it, I am so glad that the United States military is spending money on this, because how can we possibly fight these other nations if we can't call each other they and them?
Don't forget about fee, fi, fur.
You know what? Here's the thing. I want to point this out, and this is a really important point to make. I'm pretty sure that even the super duper degenerate, just absolutely far left communist trans identifying multiple pronouns galaxy gender people, I think that even that group of people still thinks that the furries are degenerate.
Wouldn't be too sure about that because, most of them actually are furries.
All right, yeah, fair point.
But wait a minute, here's a weird thing about furries I've noticed, that most of the time they're strangely cluster A personality types. They're usually also kind of spurgy. Like, there are so many freaking furries coders on, like, webmasters and shit, where there's actually a joke if a certain airplane were to crash that going to a furry convention, we would lose most of the freaking back-end coders and webmasters.
Have you ever also seen like these like Nazi furries? It's like you dress up in a fursuit, but you also have like the red armband with a swastika on it.
Actually, it's a paw print. Those are the led by Yiffler. That's the alt furries. I mean,
the fur nationalists.
I think it's just a meme, to be honest with you. I think the actual alt-right said fuck off degenerate, and the crazy left said fuck off Nazi. So they were kind of like squeezed out from both sides, and they're kind of like, they mostly just kind of dissolved into loosely articulated libertarians.
I don't claim these people as part of my own. I want to say that on record.
Well, if you are a libertarian, you kind of just have to be like, furries just don't fuck my kids and steal my shit or try to kill me or sexually assault me, and I technically you have to tolerate them beyond those parameters.
No, I don't want to do away with them. I want them to continue to live their best life. I just don't want I don't want them to do any of that shit near me. That's all. Just not near me. And certainly not on my property.
I can agree with that.
Right?
Just go do whatever you want and leave me alone out of it.
I mean, libertarians are all about right of association and disassociation, because you cannot have freedom of association without freedom of disassociation. Because necessarily, if you're in like a singular location at any given time, you're disassociating either explicitly or implicitly from millions of other people.
What do you guys think of like censorship going on lately?
Any censorship is well, okay, not any censorship. Almost all forms of censorship are bad. There are some legitimate forms of censorship, such as I think that we can all collectively agree that something like inappropriate photos of children probably should not be just freely spread because that's illegal. But otherwise, aside from the extreme circumstances, yeah, fuck any form of censorship. You should be able to say what you want.
I can agree.
Who else would wade to the sea of garbage you people produce and retrieve valuable truths and preserve them for future generations?
That's not a reference that I understand.
I'm on the same with you. I do not understand.
Don't you remember the ending of Metal Gear Solid 2?
Never played it.
I know General Chief saw the video.
Yeah, I guess that's a shit. I must have forgot that part. I'll have to rewatch it.
Whoa, he left. I think you offended him.
Yeah, it's possible. Unlikely though. I've been trying to offend Breaker for fucking years now, and he's unoffendable.
I think you've popped your cherry with that one.
Breaker is I think he's currently driving through some flyover state, so he
has to be mad.
He occasionally loses signal, but that's all right. So all right, let me ask you this, man. So Sticky, you like to pop onto Discord, especially onto some certain political channels on Discord.
Oh yeah.
What's the best and the worst arguments from lefties that you've heard in the past, let's say, week?
I haven't talked to too many lately. There's not much around in the one that I hang out in.
Oh, you haven't encountered any commies? I have.
No, not recently, actually.
All right, so I encountered. I was talking to some lefties the other day, and let me see if I can pull this up.
You got all the communism.
After my Bluetooth died.
I almost thought he offended you.
No, it's shitty technology. I don't know why it does that.
No, I can't offend Breaker. Like I said, I've been trying to do it for fucking years. But
well, anyway.
So
I accept the gift.
I was talking to like one of these lefties, and I said, I think that transgenderism has increased over the past 100 years. And the guy said, show me the statistics to back that argument up. And I said, I don't think I have to. I think it's self-evident that we have more transgender people now than we did 100 years ago. And he said, no, I don't believe that. You got to show me the statistics. And I said, okay, how about this? The use of puberty blockers has increased since 100 years ago. And the guy said, nope, I don't know if that's true or not. You got to show me the evidence. Where's your statistics? Where's your papers? I said, well, okay, here's the thing. I don't think that puberty blockers actually existed 100 years ago. So, of course, their use would have gone up since then. And I swear to God, the guy went, nah, I'm going to need a scientific source for that.
Are you joking?
No,
it wouldn't have mattered because even if you showed him the statistics, it would have been like
3 points.
I swear to God, that's a genuine conversation that I had, and yeah. I had one more. This was potentially even more brilliant. So I said, you know that we're castrating children in the West, right? And this is a different person, and they went, no, we're not castrating children. We're just transitioning them. And I said, okay. Are we making their gonads non-functional? Which would mean they're like testes and ovaries. Are we making their gonads non-functional? The guy said, yeah, we are. That's part of the transition process. I said, right. then we're castrating them. And the guy said, no, it's different because it's transition.
No, you're right. It actually is castrating them because it's not they're not able to reproduce again.
Right, exactly. But
okay, they can't keep track of like several. Sometimes definitions can overlap into multiple domains, but they're so stupid that they can't focus on more than one thing at a time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, castration and transition are not exclusive. As a matter of fact, they necessarily impinge upon one another. But that's requiring, like, multiple spheres of thinking initiated at once. And, you know, they kind of seem to have a problem with that. And I also think it's like, the ideology is so extreme, like with statistics guy. I guarantee you that even if you had all the statistics for that, it would have turned into, like, the same result, but with extra steps of him eventually saying, like, either the people making this statistic that disagrees with my ideology must somehow be Nazis, and you're bad. You're bad. Orange man bad. Time for more soy.
Well, that's basically how the process works. If you disagree with me, then you're a category of people that aren't worthy of even talking to, and that's just okay, cool, yeah.
You know what? This is going to be necessary for the post-truth world that we're going to live in because of the AI deepfakes. Like, everything you see that is not flesh and blood in person with, like, you can touch and smell the thing occurring, if it's not to that level, you're going to reach a point that's fast approaching where you just have to write that off as bullshit, and what's going to happen is that mythology is going to become central again, and empiricism isn't going to matter unless you're literally there physically in person.
Well,
I can agree with that.
I agree with that. I think that, you know what, empiricism is not going to matter in the future. It's going to be about your own personal truth. You know, like, yeah. Is it true that the Empire State Building exists? Maybe. But, like, my personal truth is that it doesn't, because I haven't seen it, you know? It's about the personal truth.
Yeah, I'm not even joking.
Yeah, it's
going to be the war of religions and my God better than your God all over again, like it was thousands of years ago, and that's how the future is actually going to work.
Well, fortunately, we can play the game of my God better than your God all day, every day. But you know who wins out in the end? Nature God. Nature God always wins. Let's go.
Actually, I think trans God wins because she's trans. So.
Oh, right. Actually, no. Trans God is all encompassing because it includes all the genders, even the mountain genders and the galaxy genders. So because it's all encompassing and it has all of the diversity, it is the strongest God. It's like
yes, you see.
It's like Korn from Warhammer 40K. It has the most power.
You see, General Chief, the universe itself is in a constant state of transition from state to state, microsecond per microsecond. So trans God is the God most high.
Oh my god. Oh, fuck.
Time for more soul.
Time for your pod. Time for the pugs.
Ooh, creepy. Well, we're doomed.
The thing is that here in America, it feels as though we're getting closer and closer to a potential civil war. Not that I would advocate for that. Of course, I'm against political violence fundamentally. I think that's a bad way to run a system. I think that the purpose of a democracy and or a republic is that you can make changes in the system without having violence be necessary.
I could see that though happening, what you're getting at. Also, I could see like a revolution kind of thing going on too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, that's what I kind of see as a potential. How's Canada doing? Do you think that they're at all close to a civil war, or do you think they're too peaceful and too polite?
I wouldn't say that it was like a civil war, but we definitely almost had like a revolution go down, and they stopped it for sure. They threw everybody down on the ground and treated them like shit, pepper sprayed them, um, forced them away after a month, and then they finally they invoked the Emergencies Act, which violated everybody's rights. Essentially, you didn't have rights. They were seizing people's bank accounts, turning people's insurance off, taking people's vehicles. They took like upwards of, it was like 40 or $50 million from the protest that was donated because they said it was proceeds of crime.
And of course, you are referring to the trucker protests.
Yes.
That were occurring. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was almost, I would say, close to a revolution. Closest Canada's ever been to one.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, for a minute there, America actually respected you guys because in general we just don't think about you, don't care about you, we don't respect you as a country. But for a minute there, the Americans were like, "Damn, Canadians kind of based."
Yeah, a lot of people actually on the left call us terrorists, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that was that was a bit of insanity, but it was hilarious to watch. I mean, the honkening. Oh, it was so.
I enjoyed it. I was there in person, man. So.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was there for 3 weeks.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
They had an injunction put in so that way they couldn't honk, and actually it became illegal. Even if you were honking, let's say because you were about to get into a car accident, they could fine you for the fucking horn, like, legally. Like, it was a criminal offense to honk your horn.
That's
My grandfather got pulled over like a 50s. He was like a 80-year-old man.
See, that's how you know that the Canadian government is just making the most sense when they they decide it's illegal to honk because they get so frustrated with protesters.
Yeah, they put in an injunction. You know what that is, right?
An injunction is.
It's essentially a temporary law.
Okay, right, yeah.
It's basically like the law is what I say it is now. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's technically what happened. And actually, it wasn't even the government that put it in. It was a private leftist law student in the city that put it in, went to the court, and actually was smart enough to know what an injunction was and put it in place.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's messed up, yeah.
I remember so many cat ladies had to deal with their randomly shitting cats because they were startled by so many horns.
Yeah, no, it was pretty decent. Like, it was only right out front of the Capitol building where it was happening the most, and then the corner that we were staying on, that was about 2 blocks away from the actual Capitol building, was decent after about 9 o'clock at night. So we didn't honk our horns.
Well, but correct me if I'm wrong, but during this period of time, there was a lot of trucks in that city, and as a result, there was a lot of traffic. It would make sense that they would be honking because it was a lot of traffic. Like, why wouldn't they be honking?
And they weren't technically blocking 100% of the lanes. There was still one lane of traffic, which most of it was all one-ways anyways. All the streets out there are one-ways, so there wasn't 2 lanes anyways, so there would just be 1 lane of traffic working, and you'd still be able to get by, which, you know what I mean, that wasn't still, it was an emergency lane, and the cops actually made an agreement with the truckers to say, hey, like, you know, just at least, like, don't block all of the lanes because we'll have to, like, you know, do something about it as long as you don't, like, they were making agreements. A lot of the police were totally understanding. The only time they became non-understanding is when the police kind of were forced into doing what they were doing by the government, telling them to either do your job or quit. Actually, there was moments where police actually gave up in the middle of it, being like, I can't do this, like, I'm not about this, and they actually got arrested on the spot because I think that they made a legal binding contract that if you quit after, like, you took the job, that you were actually making it a criminal offense, something like that.
What the fuck? Are they mercenaries? What the hell?
It was crazy, man. You don't understand how bad it actually was.
I mean, Canada making it illegal to honk in traffic. Like, that sounds pretty fucking crazy to me. But
Yeah, man. Actually, it was about a QR code that was coming, and I guarantee it was going to be coming to you guys next. We were like the test dummies, you know what I mean? And they're like, if Canadians are, like, they'll accept anything kind of idea. If they accept it, the Americans will, like, probably maybe accept it. And so they were going to try to make it that you needed to have a QR like application on your phone to say that you got the vaccination or not, to be able to enter in to go eat dinner with your family, or to go watch a movie with your girlfriend, or to go get groceries at the grocery store. You had to be vaccinated. It was getting to that extent. And if you didn't have a smartphone, you were going to be like not allowed in. So you couldn't have a piece of paper to prove it, because the piece of paper could be easily forged. They wanted you to have like literally it on your phone, to have like a little sensor read it off. And it was happening in Quebec first, and it was going to be spread throughout the rest of Canada.
well, here's the thing. Although I can understand that people they should have the right to not be forcibly vaccinated. I can kind of understand that, but we here at the Promethean Tides podcast, we fully support the COVID vaccinations. I'm up to my I believe a 31st vaccination as of this Monday. Breaker, you're 30, 35, 36 now?
I'm actually at freaking 41. I don't know what you're talking
Whoa.
about. You need to step it up the fucking game.
Wow, dude, you really exploded there. Wow, okay, shit.
Because I've got like...
I have not had
went
any
all
since
over
I
the
was 10.
world. I mean, I went all over the fucking world to get this. This is like a fucking pilgrimage. I've gotten vaccines from other fucking countries.
I have not had a vaccine since I was 10.
Well, you're a Nazi, so... Yep.
Uh-oh.
Clearly anti-science. We need to do a seance to summon the mighty Dr. Fauci.
I don't
the
see you guys as
literal
healthier than
essential
I am.
embodiment.
No, dude. If you haven't gotten your Fauci ouchie, also known as the COVID vaccine, then I just fucking A, man. I'm talking to you right now, and even though this is over the internet, like, I'm still worried. Like, I hope that you're wearing a mask.
Oh, definitely not.
What the fuck, bro? Come on.
I'm gonna have to
No,
put on the second mask
I've
now
been,
just to
perfectly
compensate.
Fucking A. Yeah, I am already wearing
Either
two masks.
asymptomatic or I'm immune.
So okay. So in actuality, I never got the COVID vaccine. I did end up getting the Omicron variant, and it was a mild flu. I got over it in about like 3 days. I had a bit of a fever. It sucked. A couple weeks ago, I had salmonella poisoning, and that was about like 5 times as bad. So, yep, that was my story.
Well, that's why we
Yeah, I
need to
can believe
summon
that.
Fauci. Because he can make a vaccine for that, because he is the essential embodiment of the science itself. The science. I will cure salmonella with a vaccine.
Yeah, you should have asked Dr. Fauci about the fucking AIDS vaccine back in the 80s.
That's being homophobic. Don't worry about that.
Right.
All you need to do is take the 2 pills a day. Everything will be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time trusting the government system. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, given the fact that the efficacy of the vaccines that they released were questionable, and the side effects that were caused as a result of the vaccines were also questionable, and the fact that they didn't go through years of testing of this vaccine, but they just openly released it to the public. I mean,
Questionable.
yeah, it is some cause for concern, technically speaking.
To make it questionable.
I think all this questioning of the science is inappropriate.
To question it.
Yes, it is inappropriate. You're correct, Breaker. We fully support all of the vaccinations here at the Promethean Tides podcast. We love it. We love it.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I know this is off topic, but I recently been playing Mario 64. It's gangster as hell. Just
That
putting that out there.
that came out a while ago, didn't it?
Oh yeah, 1995. I'm pretty positive.
Damn.
It's a really good game.
You know that part of Mario 64 where you go under the water and find that giant mechanical whale and everything slows down and the frame rate goes to shit?
Haven't played that far yet. I don't think.
I think that's Dire Docks. But anyway, when you get there, you'll notice this. There's actually a funny story behind that, weirdly enough. They actually did code in the optimization program to prevent the frame rate from dropping when you enter that area. But for whatever reason, they just forgot to turn it on. So if you ever look at the machine level code for Mario 64, that compensator program is in there, but it's just switched to off.
Well then, they fail.
Yeah. Not as bad as the coding nightmare that is Final Fantasy VII, but that's a whole other can of worms. Why the fuck are we talking about this now? I guess it's just random.
Yeah, no, it's just a quick saying. But quick one off the top of your head. Which one do you think came out first? PS1 or N64?
I believe it was PS1, wasn't it?
I think
What's that?
N64 came first.
So it was PS1.
Say, what?
Yeah, I know, right? Because it has disc, and you're like, man, how? And then thinking about it, actually, they were supposed to make a conglomeration between them, and they didn't. Nintendo turned Sony down. Sony was like, well, screw the man. I'm going to make my own thing. Yeah, and then they created the PlayStation. And then Nintendo actually came out with what they planned on. And so that's why they kept a cart. Yeah.
I think in Japan the PS1 came out first, but I don't know about America.
No, I'm pretty positive it did.
Hmm.
You can look it up.
You might be right. You might be right about that.
Yo, the PS2 was the shit, though.
Yes, PS2 sold actually one of the most leading selling stations out there.
Especially the ultra slim version.
Just PS2 in general was like really good.
So I actually, I ended up having both. So my parents were divorced. My dad got me a PS2, and my mom got me an Xbox. So I got the best of both worlds.
Well then.
Yeah, I had the same thing actually. I had the PS2 sitting on top of the Xbox in a shelf.
Yeah, I collect all that stuff. Actually, if you guys didn't know, that stuff's going up in value tremendously right now. So yeah, collect
because
away.
Games as a service and clouds, and you don't own your actual game. It just sits on some server, and if the company decides to just discontinue that server, fuck you. You don't own this.
Dude, holy shit, that happened to me the other day, right? Because I have the Xbox Series X or whatever, and I have that the Xbox Game Pass shit.
Yeah.
And so I went on, and I was like, yo, it's a Saturday afternoon. I want to go on. I want to play a fucking video game because I have some time. I want to fucking, play some games. And I go on, and for an hour and a half, it won't allow me to, play a game because the Xbox network is down. It wasn't an issue on my end. Like, I had perfect internet. It was an issue on the Xbox server or whatever. And so I couldn't play a fucking video game on a Saturday afternoon because their fucking servers were down. Fuck that shit.
Yeah. And that's just when they fuck up, and otherwise it would be there if it was functioning properly. I'm talking about they can just rug pull anything they want because it's all on their servers. They could say, well, we've decided this game is like homophobic or misogynistic, so if you paid for this, fuck you. Don't care. This game is no longer exists on this store. Bye.
Yeah, that's why I collect all old games, like retro games. I have stuff dating back into the 80s.
Like Pong and Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man.
Yes. There's things called Look Up ColecoVision. Actually, it was one of the most OG game companies I've ever heard of. They decided to, at the time, push the laws and boundaries and just made an expansion So this is what made actually game stealing a thing. So they made an expander that you were able to plug into your ColecoVision, that you were able to run Atari games from your ColecoVision. And you could just plug their carts right in and run it right off their system. So you wouldn't need to own an Atari. You could just own a ColecoVision with the plug-in. And so the ColecoVision had a little bit better hardware, in my personal preference of what at the time. So they would run better. And so it was more idea to actually do that. And so ColecoVision got sued by Atari for doing that. And then other game companies, that's why you see Xbox and Sony not be able to use their games, vice versa.
So I got a question for you guys. Now, when I was a younger chap, I very much enjoyed the first-person shooters. I was a big fan of like Halo. Like, dude, Halo 2 and Halo 3, fucking grew up with that shit. The original Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, that was the shit. I used to be a big fan of first-person shooters, but I guess as I've gotten a bit older, my reflexes aren't exactly what they used to be. So I've gotten a little bit more into the dad games, like the city builder strategy type of games that, you know, less reflexes, more like thinking and strategy. That's my favorite type of game. For instance, I just want to shout this out. Frostpunk is probably top 3 favorite games of all time. I can't wait until they release Frostpunk 2. Just absolutely fucking brilliant city survival builder strategy resource management game. But what are your guys' favorite types of games now?
So I back in the day I used to play a lot of like Guitar Hero and stuff like that, and I actually just recently got it within the last year. And I haven't played it in over 10 years, well over 10 years. And so when I hop back on that, I really noticed how bad my reflexes were, and it took me some time to actually build up. I was really rusty and whatnot. So I can understand what you were saying by age actually brings down your reflexes and everything like that.
So what type of games do you play nowadays?
Besides build Mario games. I build games. Like I was working on a server just so I can have my own laws and boundaries within the game, right?
Oh shit.
Instead of following by the laws and boundaries of what another game developer makes, I'd like to be able to make my own laws and boundaries.
So what type of game are you developing? Like a platformer or
it's just 5M, right? It's GTA. It's just script lines for 5M, which is GTA servers, right?
Oh, gotcha. The GTA Online thing that yeah, gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, it's not following by the laws that somebody else made. It's like following by the laws that we're making. Because essentially, you just start off with a guy running around on the map, and that's it. There's just able to drive, and so I can even change the physics of how the car drives. I just, if I technically wanted to, I can probably code out how the person actually walks around, but there's no need for that GTA like walk and stuff. Yeah, but I code the way that the cars drive. I can code like, let's say how gas functions, how somebody's able to buy gas, and if you can own the gas station, we've made that possible. So you can adjust gas rates, and the store, you can own the store. There's taxes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
actually. So back this is a while ago, but back when Halo 3 got released, this would have been like 2009, 2010, something like that. They introduced this thing called Forge, where you could build your own maps, like code in like your own like physics, like how the game would play, and you could make basically your own unique game within the Halo 3 engine, and it was incredible. I love doing that shit. My favorite stuff was I would build. They had this game mode called Zombies, and my favorite thing was just like to create like big bunkers that humans could hide in while the zombies attacked. Like it was so much fun. Yeah, I love that shit.
Yeah. You can like completely change out the whole map if you wanted to. Like you can edit everything in it.
And Breaker, what's your favorite type of game to play now, aside from JRPGs?
Minecraft.
I don't know if you're being serious right now.
Well, basically, yes. I mean, okay. The first-person shooters in my day that I actually had were the old Turok games 1 and 2. I never did get 3, though. And the Doom, of course, everyone has fucking Doom. Doom is like the fucking quintessential of first-person shooter games. I also did have Wolfenstein 3D, but that one was kind of like a shittier Doom, so I just played Doom. And I did do some like weird bullet hell and platformer stuff on Sega Genesis, but I always found myself freaking hating platformer games. I mostly ended up gravitating. Well, I did have before Call of Duty. I had the Medal of Honor games. I never did get into Call of Duty, but I had all the Medal of Honors.
Oh, what was the I don't know if it's I don't know if they had done it multiple times, but what was the Medal of Honor? It was way back in the day, like early 2000s, and the intro to the game was that you were it was D-Day, you were storming the beach of Normandy.
Yes, I remember. I had that, but I can't remember the name of that one off the top of my head.
I think it was like Medal of Honor like 2 or 3, I think is what it was.
Medal of Honor 2 was on PlayStation 1, actually, and that was about the French resistance to the Nazis in World War II. You were like a secret French agent.
Oh, that must have been 3 then. Yeah, it was the first title that they put out on the PS2, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I had that and I played it on all difficulties, and that freaking game could get really fucking hard at maximum difficulty at the later levels.
Yeah, so I had the PS2 at my dad's house, right? But I would only see him on the weekends. And so he would take me to Blockbuster to like rent movies because this was that back in the day, right? And we'd go to Blockbuster, we'd rent movies, but they also rented video games. So what I would do is I would get the video game and I would play it, and then we would have to return it, that week. And then I would just get it again, and then I would have to basically play it from the beginning, I guess, because I was a very young child and I didn't understand how the fuck memory cards worked. So I constantly played through like the first 3 levels of that game, never actually being able to beat it. Yeah.
I remember when I would rent the N64 cartridges and they had like some of them had like built-in memory, like the Mario 64. They had like built-in save files inside the cartridge. By the way, those actually are finite. When they get a certain age, you have to take the cartridge apart and replace a battery inside of it.
Oh, shit.
To make the save files work. And you need special tools to do that because they're non-standard screws. But anyway, yeah, I kind of stopped doing the rental thing when it came to the disc-based games because, like you said, freaking memory cards. I remember the original Turok games also needed external memory cards where it was the kind where you shoved in the bottom of the N64 controller. It's called and it only saved
I remember that
1 or 2 games because the files were so fucking big. Yeah.
N64s were cool though.
Yeah. And then I got the Super N64 memory card with like multiple zones that look like a big fucking brick hanging out the bottom of the controller, and you could actually save multiple games. I also had a Mega PlayStation 2 memory card with buttons on the top and an LCD screen where it was like 16 memory cards in like banks that you could cycle through.
Damn, dude, that's like futuristic technology back in the day.
Yeah, that was like elite shit back then. But now, when I play on my freaking phone, I could just put all that shit on Google Drive and upload it to a cloud or some shit, or put it in like Dropbox or something.
Dude, how big was the memory card for the PS2? Like, what was it, like 16 megabytes or something?
The normal one was 8 megabytes, actually, and that saved a lot of games, but like I said, you get the super deluxe version that was like 16 of those in banks, and it was like a big brick hanging out the front of the box.
Dude, what the fuck? Can you imagine like an 8 megabyte memory card nowadays? I think that it like number one, it would
the size of your pinky.
It would be microscopic. Like
yeah,
because I know that there are chips like for like high-end digital cameras or whatever that are like a terabyte, and that is the size of your pinky nail. So
yeah,
like holy shit, like man, the technology is really improved since then.
You have to be careful with those freaking micro SDs because you think, oh, this little tiny card the size of my pinky says a terabyte. That means I could plug this into X thing and have a terabyte. It doesn't work like that because certain hardware and certain software configurations won't actually code to a multi-terabyte or a terabyte SD card. You need to make sure that it's compatible with whatever you're trying to save it to. Now, if you've got a high-end camera that specifically says it will take 1 terabyte SD cards, it has to specifically say in the manual or on the device itself that it will do that. Most devices will only go up to 512 gigabytes.
Yeah, right now I think that's the highest that they do go.
Most of
like
the time,
cell phones,
like
yeah.
Special application. Certain cell phones will take a terabyte, but most of them won't go above 256. Even like
mine's.
phone.
I'm pretty positive my iPhone is 512.
Yeah, of course, Apple would like the premium Apple shit. They would do that.
I mean, that's great.
My Motorola will do 512.
Dude, that's fucking crazy because I remember when I was in high school, everyone had iPods, and the only purpose of an iPod was that it was just like a more deluxe CD player, and but it was really good. And I remember I got like a 4 gigabyte iPod, and I was like, holy shit, there's so much storage here. 4 whole gigabytes? I could put so many songs on here. But of course nowadays that's shit tier, right?
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, such is technology. I guess that's how that works.
Want to talk about more technology? Did you guys hear about the drone got caught smuggling guns across to the Canadian border, like through the American and Canadian border? 11 handguns and some other things. I'm pretty sure.
I'll tell you
what. That sounds like important news.
As soon as some of these American states decide that they want to just ban all of the guns, those drones, yeah, they're going to be doing some work, some interstate transactions. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I have a drone, but DJI's got software, so it knows where you are and what you're doing. But I guarantee these people are like custom making their drones and being able to ship them across with you know what I mean?
So
you can make a drone at a hobby store with freaking Arduino chips.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of tech, Breaker, you were talking to me about this previously. Apparently, something called Cloudflare fucked up last night.
Yeah, it shut down a whole bunch of websites all over the world for several hours.
Should have been using Starlink.
No, should have been using our sponsor, NordVPN.
NordVPN!
NordVPN was like the ultimate VPN. All jokes aside, there's like
Raid
a guy on
Shadow Legends.
Oh god, not that. But there's this guy on YouTube that all he does, his whole YouTube channel is just making commercials. That's literally what his YouTube channel is, and he will get actual sponsors to pay him to just make a commercial video, and the whole video is like a 2-3 minute long video that's just a commercial. It's like infomercial YouTube channel. And he said that NordVPN He did everything allowable within the parameters of YouTube, and they never dropped their sponsorship. They dared him to do shit that he couldn't even get away with on YouTube because YouTube itself would have banned his channel.
So I do want to point this out. There's this guy on YouTube called Internet Historian, and
Internet historian.
One of the best YouTubers that exists out there, and one of his sponsors is NordVPN, and he makes these videos where it's like he has like NordVPN man who is like a superhero, except he's not, and like he causes like the death of people.
Yes.
But he's NordVPN man, and like it's border like it's basically satire, but apparently NordVPN just okays it, and I think that actually is a cool type of company where they're like, yeah, just as long as you say our name, basically, like you're good. Like that's actually a cool company. Like that's a company that understands, I think, what YouTube is, as opposed to Raid Shadow Legends, which
they give you a script, and if you deviate from the script, they get really mad.
Right, exactly. Right, yeah. I like, honestly, I bet that if Raid Shadow Legends allowed the YouTubers to like have more fun with the advertisement, they actually would be doing better. But they're so it's so strict and authoritarian with it that they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, besides the fact that it's a shit game that no one should play.
Well, you know the guy I'm thinking about that made like a little 3-minute comedy skit where he used NordVPN to set up a fucking drug deal. And the drug dealer showed up in his underwear and a trench coat and had like a big comedically sized bag of crack. And meanwhile, the police were outside shrugging their shoulders like, we couldn't track the drug dealer. They must have been using NordVPN.
They had to be. They couldn't have been using anything else. They had to be using NordVPN.
Damn you. And the police officers are like, damn,
if they weren't using NordVPN, they would have got caught.
Yeah.
Well, you know, obviously we have burned the bridge when it comes to Raid Shadow Legends, because fuck you and fuck your game. But you know what, Nord, if you're listening, you seem a little bit more chill. So, you know, if you ever wanted to sponsor us, we'd probably be up for the deal. I don't have anything terrible to say about you. So yeah, 100%. But with that, we have reached the hour and 30-minute mark. We try to keep the midweek show a little bit shorter. So unless either of you guys have anything else that you want to talk about, I think we can bring it to a close there.
Hey, I've enjoyed my time. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so with that, remember to like and subscribe. Actually, the best thing that you can do is, you know, subscribe and leave a comment. We'd really appreciate that. And you know what? If you do leave a comment, we will read it and we will respond to it. I guess unless you ask us to not respond to it, in which case we won't. It's up to you. But anyway, yeah. With that, thank you for joining us, Sticky. You've been a fantastic guest. Peace out, everyone, and Breaker.
Guys, do you remember that game with the puzzles and everyone said it was fake? But I finally found the game. Ebony, the King's Return. I've got to use my brains to play this.
All right. Peace out, everyone.